Let's just get it out of the way, and it's Balenciaga. But if it's getting up to those sorts of monies, I think there are other bags you could look at. It's a little dated, and I don't think it has carried through the test of time into a classic as well as some of the others. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. And in today's video, let's offend some people. Let's talk about the bags that I think you should avoid in 2023. Now, before we get started, and I offend everybody, everybody comes for me, this is just my opinion. These are just bags that, in my opinion, are not as popular as they once were. And if you're looking to spend this sort of money, I think there are maybe some alternatives that you could look at instead of these bags. I also think though that if you love something, doesn't matter what I say, doesn't matter what anybody says on the internet, buy what you love. And I've said this in so many of my videos. I have so many bags in here that other people would think, what are you buying? Because they're quite individual and I don't care. I buy what I love. So if you love any of these bags, don't worry about what I say. Don't worry about what anybody else says. And some of these bags, it's not even that I necessarily don't like them anymore. I just think they're not as popular as they once were. And maybe I think these are bags to avoid, and there's some others that you could consider. And the first one, let's just get it out of the way, and it's Balenciaga. Balenciaga. What happened there? Well, I'm not going to put in any shots or any photographs of the footage of the campaign which led to the outcry, because I don't want to perpetuate that abuse and I don't want to give that more coverage and put that out anywhere else on the internet. But we all know what I'm talking about. It's the campaign Balenciaga did where they featured children in some questionable positions and with some questionable accessories. It's been highly, highly criticised. And for me, I think if you want to put luxury type money, Balenciaga may just not be the safest place to put your money or the type of bag that you may want to consider buying at this stage. Now, if you still love Balenciaga and are still going to buy them, that's entirely your choice, and it is certainly not for me to judge. I'm just giving you my opinion, and I don't think, for me, that Balenciaga is a bag that I would encourage people to buy or that I would recommend to people. In fact, it's a bag that I would recommend people not to buy, given the recent outcry on the publicity and the campaign that they published, which I'm sure had to be approved at very high levels. I luckily have never been a fan of Balenciaga bags. I did like the city bag, which had the graffiti all over it, the multicoloured graffiti. I did think that was really cool. I certainly won't be adding it now. And I think that there are other brands that you might want to consider if you were looking at any of their bags. I'm not going to say anything more about that. I think that's enough to say. But certainly for the first category of bags you might want to avoid in 2023, it's Balenciaga. Number two, and just to show that this is really just opinions on what I think isn't as popular, because this is a bag that I'm still going to wear, but I think that the utility type bags are just past their peak. I don't think they're going to be as popular, and I'm talking about this one that I have, which is the Louis Vuitton multi-pochette accessoire. There's also the Prada version that we saw for quite a number of seasons all over social media. I know this bag was gifted, and we saw the Prada one coming up quite a lot. You don't see it in the stores as much anymore. I think they're both past their peak. I don't think they're as popular as they were, and I think that there are other bags coming out that you may want to look at that are newer and fresher designs and probably more popular, if popularity in a bag is something that you worry about. Personally, I don't. I buy what I love, but I think these are probably past their peak, and I think there are some other bags coming out that are maybe just that little bit edgier or maybe that little bit more attractive now. Now, I'm still going to wear this bag. I think this is a fabulous bag if you have a busy life. I've said before, I have 2 young boys and 4 dogs. When I am running somewhere to the shopping or to the garage or to the park, this is my grab and go bag. I think it's a very easy bag to wear. It's very casual, it's very light, but I'm not wearing it as a fashion moment in those moments, probably quite the opposite. So if you're looking for something that's quite directional or fashionable, I think the utility bag trend is probably past its height. Number 3, and it's another bag that I also personally like the look of, but it's the Valentino rock stud bags, and I'm probably talking about most of the styles in this category. And the reason I'm including this is you see these bags coming into the sale quite often, and I think again the rock stud bag is just past her moment. There was a moment in time when the Rockstar bags were very, very popular and you did see them a lot, but I think they're probably past their peak. And I think if you bought one full price, you would need to be careful about maybe seeing it going into a reduction at some stage. And I think probably there are other bags that are more fashion forward and more in the moment that you could spend your money on than those. Number 4, and another one that I have and still love, and it's either the Louis Vuitton Mini Pochette or the Pochette Accessoire. I think the price of these have increased so much that Louis Vuitton themselves have really destroyed these bags or pouches. I know this isn't exactly a bag. The Pochette Accessoire is a bit bigger and you can fit a phone in. But the price of these now, I think, have damaged them a little bit. And if you were looking to buy one of these are 500 and something pounds. Now, for the plain version, this is the limited edition. For a plain version, it's over £500, and the Pochette Accessoire is a huge amount of money as well. So I think if you were considering either of those, given the price point that they're at now, you probably could spend your money in a better place somewhere else, because they really have pushed the price so high. I suppose because so many of us did use them as bags, Louis Vuitton thought, well, if you're going to use it as a bag, we're going to charge you as a bag, and that's exactly what they've done. But if it's getting up to those sorts of monies, I think there are other bags you could look at rather than the cost that these are now. Number 5, and it's a bag that I don't own and I've never actually thought of buying. It's a bit too structured for me, and it's the Givenchy Antigona, and I think it's probably past its peak, and I don't think it's as popular a bag anymore. And there is a new Givenchy Hobo bag out, which I think is really quite lovely, and I think it's a bag that's probably going to have a moment and is going to be popular. I think it's a bag we're going to see a lot. I think we're going to see it styled a lot. I think it looks really, really well, and I think that it's probably a bag that's more safe for your money if you're looking for something that's popular. If you love the Antigona, obviously buy the Antigona, but if you're looking around at newer styles, I think there's probably some bags that have moved past the Antigona and might be a safer place for your funds. Number 6, and this is going to offend a few people, and it is the vanity case type bags. Now, there are new bags coming out that are the box bag type, which I really, really like. There's one from YSL, which I love. But the vanity case type bags, I think, came about whenever, say, Louis Vuitton, for example, saw so many people using the Nice Mini and the Nice Nano as a bag. So they brought out the Vanity PM, which looks very similar to the Nice Mini, only it has a bit more detailing. It has the reverse on the top, it has a nicer handle, etc. But it's that style of bag. And then Dior brought one out, which looked like a vanity case. Gucci, I think, brought one out, and a few houses, I'm sure other houses brought them out. Chanel did as well. And they were worn like a vanity case. They generally had 2 zips that you had to work around them, and I think that trend is probably passing its peak and passing its height. I don't think we're going to see as many new designs coming out that look like the vanity bag, like the vanity case. I think we are moving on a bit from that now. Dior, you haven't seen theirs released just as much. The Vanity PM is still going strong by Louis Vuitton, but it's a traditional classic monogram bag, which is always going to be popular because of the type of bag that it is. I think we've seen the houses releasing less new versions of those, and I think that's a trend that's probably coming down from its popularity. Number 7 is the Celine luggage bag, and I think this is giving way to some new fabulous Celine bags. There are a couple of Celine bags that I really, really love. I think, is it Triomphe? I'm not exactly sure if I'm saying that right, but there's a couple of their bags that are very understated. I think look very elegant, very classic, and I think they're stunning. And I think it means that the luggage bag, and I'll put in pictures of what I'm talking about, is losing its popularity and past its peak, and probably moving on to other newer styles that are a bit fresher and a bit newer, and probably going to be a bit more fashionable and easier to work into outfits. And I think the luggage bag is starting to maybe look a little bit dated, and I think these newer bags are probably going to take its place. Number 8 is the Jacquemus tiny little bags, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it because I've just tried about twice and made an absolute mess of it. But it's those tiny little bags that have the big circle type hoop that would sit crossbody or sit very tiny with those big circles, and I think they're probably past their peak. I think they're not as popular as they once were. You don't see as many of them. They did come in some fun, fabulous colours, which I can be a bit of an addict to, but I think their day is probably going a bit. I think they're past their popularity, and I think there's newer, fresher styles coming if you're looking somewhere to spend luxury type money. And number 9 is Louis Vuitton. I love Louis Vuitton, but it's the wave bag, and Louis Vuitton are very much pushing leather bags. They are bringing out a lot of focus on their leather bags, but I think the wave bag out of all their leather bags looks a little dated, and I don't think it has carried through the test of time into a classic as well as some of the others. And there are new styles coming out like the twist. There is a reinvented version of the twist coming out. There's the twist itself. There are the mini capucines, which I know are very, very expensive, but Louis Vuitton are bringing out a lot more leather bags, which I think are probably fresher and better looking than the wave bag, which I think is probably past its peak of popularity. Number 10, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for this, and it's the Gucci Marmont bag. Now, I tried one on in Dublin very recently in a tweed version, and I was very close to buying it because I don't care if something's past its popularity or not. The tweed version I thought was stunning, and the reason I didn't buy it is because I spent a lot of money in Louis Vuitton and I didn't really plan on spending that as well. But the tweed version of it I thought was stunning. But I think the Marmont line is probably past its peak of popularity. I think the Jackie bag is very, very cool, and I think that's going to follow through. I think they're putting emphasis on that. I also like the little bamboo handle. Deal has the green one. I think they're lovely bags. I think Gucci's maybe going to go in a slightly different direction, although with Gucci losing its creative director, I suppose we don't really know what direction it's going to go in, and I have liked a lot of their styles that came recently, but let's see where they go to now. But I think the Marmont line is probably one of those that's past its height and past its heyday, and maybe just not going to be as popular as it once was, and there's probably newer Gucci bags that are going to be taking their place and having their moment, and you might want to consider some of those if you're looking to buy a new Gucci bag. Those are the 10 bags that I think you should avoid in 2023. Please, these are just my opinions. If you love any of these bags, don't listen to me. And as I've said, these are just bags that I really think are past their, maybe the height of their popularity, something I don't care about. But if you're looking at a bag that's fashionable and trendy, you might want to look at some of these other examples, because I think these ones probably just aren't at their height anymore. I hope this has been enjoyable. I hope you're still with me and don't hate me too much after this video. Please take it in the manner it was intended. And yeah, it's handbags at the end of the day. Thank you so much for watching me. Thank you for being here. Please take care, and I will see you again in the next one.